The champagne glass slipped from the hotel manager's hand, shattering across the marble floor in a spray of crystal and golden liquid. Every conversation in the Grand Pearl Hotel's lobby died mid-sentence. 200 guests, dressed in their finest evening wear, turned to stare at the woman in the simple green hotel uniform who had just greeted the most powerful man in the room. Vanessa Jenkins stood perfectly still, her dark hands clasped in front of her uniform as elderly Kang Dae-sung's eyes widened in absolute shock. The words that had just left her mouth hung in the air like smoke that refused to clear. The Busan dialect rolled off her tongue with the ease of someone who had spoken it since childhood, the regional inflections and tones hitting every note with native precision. The silence stretched. Security guards froze mid-step. The hotel's general manager's face drained of color. Even the pianist in the corner stopped playing, his fingers hovering above the keys. Vanessa's heart hammered in her chest, but she kept her face calm. 10 years. 10 years of hiding, of scrubbing floors and changing sheets, of keeping her head down and her mouth shut. And she had just blown it all in 5 seconds. But she couldn't help it. Seeing Kang Dae-sung walk through those doors, older and grayer but still carrying himself with that same gentle dignity she remembered from her childhood, something inside her had cracked. The careful walls she'd built around Park Min-ji, the girl she used to be, had crumbled at the sight of her dead father's best friend. Kang Dae-sung took a step forward, his polished shoes clicking against the marble. His eyes, sharp despite his 72 years, studied her face with an intensity that made her want to run. Behind him, his son Kang Jun-ho stood frozen, his tall frame rigid in his navy blue suit, his expression caught between confusion and something else she couldn't name. "You speak Busan Sadaori," Dae-sung said slowly, his own accent thick with emotion. "Where did you learn this?" Vanessa's mind raced. She could lie. She could make up some story about language apps or a Korean boyfriend or college classes. But those excuses would never explain the perfect accent, the regional idioms, the way she'd used the formal grammar patterns that only someone raised in a traditional Busan household would know. "I lived there," she said quietly, still in Korean. "A long time ago." The old man's hands trembled. "What is your name, child?" "Vanessa Jenkins, sir." The English name felt foreign on her tongue after speaking Korean. "No." Dae-sung shook his head slowly. "Your real name." The question cut through her like a blade. Around them the crowd pressed closer, phones out, cameras ready. Hotel security shifted nervously. The general manager looked ready to faint. Vanessa opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Jun-ho moved then, stepping between his father and the growing crowd of onlookers. "Everyone, please return to the reception," he said smoothly, his voice carrying authority despite its gentle tone. "The evening's program will begin shortly." Reluctantly, the guests dispersed, though whispers and stares followed Vanessa like shadows. The general manager rushed forward, stammering apologies, but Jun-ho waved him away. "Miss Jenkins," Jun-ho said, his dark eyes studying her face. "Perhaps you could show my father and me to a private room. We seem to have much to discuss." It wasn't a request. Vanessa nodded, her throat tight. She led them through the staff corridors, away from the glittering lobby, her green uniform a stark contrast to their expensive formal wear. Behind her, she could hear Dae-sung's labored breathing and Jun-ho's steady footsteps. She opened the door to a small conference room, one typically used for staff meetings. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as the three of them stepped inside. Dae-sung sank into a chair, his hand pressed to his chest. For a terrible moment, Vanessa thought she'd given the old man a heart attack. But he was just overcome, his eyes wet with tears. "You look like someone I knew," he whispered. "Someone very dear to me. You had a daughter. An adopted daughter. American girl, but she spoke Korean like she was born to it. Her name was Park Min-ji." Vanessa's knees went weak. She gripped the back of a chair to steady herself. "Sir," she began, but he held up a hand. "Min-ji disappeared 10 years ago. The same night her father died. The police said she probably ran away, scared. They searched but never found her. I searched too. Spent so much money, hired so many people. But she was gone. Like smoke." "Father," Jun-ho said gently, placing a hand on the old man's shoulder. "You should rest. This is too much." "No." Dae-sung stood, using the table for support. He walked toward Vanessa, each step deliberate. When he stood before her, he reached out with a shaking hand and touched her cheek. Min-ji had a small scar. Right here. From when she fell off her bicycle learning to ride. Park bought her that bike for her birthday. She was so excited, she didn't want to wait for training wheels. Vanessa's hand moved automatically to her left cheekbone, where a thin white line marked her brown skin. A line so faint most people never noticed it. The old man's face crumpled. It's you. What child? It's really you. Have you ever hidden who you really are because you were too afraid of what truth might cost? Vanessa lived a lie for 10 years and now everything is about to change. If this story grabs your heart, subscribe and drop a comment below telling me what you think she should do next. Should she trust these people or run? Vanessa sat in the conference room long after Dae-sung and Junho had left. The old man had wanted to stay, wanted to talk, but his health couldn't handle the emotional strain. Junho had promised they would meet again soon, once his father rested. Now, alone in the buzzing fluorescent light, Vanessa let herself remember. She was born Vanessa Marie Jenkins in Detroit. Her mother died when she was 6. She never knew her father. The foster system became her home, a rotation of houses where she never quite belonged. At 8 years old, she landed with the Hendersons, a white missionary couple preparing to move to South Korea. Would you like to come with us? Mrs. Henderson had asked, her kind face hopeful. See another part of the world? Vanessa had said yes. What else did she have in America? Korea was overwhelming at first. The sounds, the food, the language that flowed around her like a river she couldn't cross. But she was young and children learn fast. The Hendersons enrolled her in international school but also hired a tutor to teach her Korean. Within a year she could hold basic conversations. Within 2 she was fluent. Then when she was 12, the Hendersons died in a bus accident outside Seoul. And once again Vanessa was alone. The orphanage in Seoul was better than the American foster homes, but it was still temporary. Still uncertain. Until the day Mr. Park walked through the doors. Park Dong-min was a businessman from Busan, successful but not flashy. He had kind eyes and gentle hands and a smile that reached all the way to his soul. He visited the orphanage regularly, donating money and time. He'd never married, had no children of his own, and at 58, everyone assumed he'd stay that way. But he saw Vanessa sitting alone in the corner, reading a Korean picture book with fierce concentration, and something in him shifted. You're trying very hard, he said to her in Korean. I want to get it right, she'd answered. Why? Because this is my home now. I should speak the language of my home. He'd smiled then, that beautiful warm smile. Would you like me to help you? 6 months later, after paperwork and interviews and home visits, Park Dong-min adopted Vanessa Jenkins and gave her a new name. Park Min-ji, his daughter. They moved to Busan, to a comfortable apartment near Haeundae Beach. He taught her about business, about honor, about kindness. He introduced her to his friends, including Kang Dae-sung, who treated her like a beloved granddaughter. He enrolled her in the best schools and celebrated when she topped her class. But he also taught her other things. Self-defense. Observation. How to read people and situations. The world can be dangerous, Min-ji, he'd said. I want you to be able to protect yourself. She thought it was just a father's worry. She was wrong. The night she turned 18, they celebrated with galbi and her favorite strawberry cake. Mr. Park had given her a necklace, a simple silver pendant with a small pearl. You're precious to me, he'd said. More than any business deal or amount of money. You're my daughter. My family. That night, 3 men broke into their apartment. Vanessa heard them first. She'd been studying in her room when the sound of splintering would made her freeze. Then her father's shout cut short. Then thuds and crashes. She ran to his room, saw him on the floor, blood on his face. The men wore dark clothes and masks. One grabbed her, but her father's training kicked in. She twisted free, struck hard, and ran. Go, her father gasped. Run, Min-ji. Don't come back. Don't trust anyone. Run. She ran. Down the stairs, out the back entrance into the Busan night. Behind her, she heard sirens. She hid in an alley, shaking, terrified. When she finally crept back hours later, police tape blocked the building. Neighbors stood in clusters, whispering. An ambulance sat empty, its back doors open. She heard an officer say the words. Park Dong-min, dead. Robbery looks like. They took cash and jewelry. Whole place torn apart. But Min-ji knew better. Her father had taught her to observe. She'd seen those men searching for something specific, tearing through his desk, his files. This wasn't random theft. And she'd heard one of them speak. Just 2 words before she ran. 2 words in perfect Seoul Korean. Find it. Find what? She couldn't go to the police. Her father's last words were clear. Trust no one. So 18-year-old Park Min-ji disappeared. She took the emergency money her father had hidden, bought a ticket to America, and became Vanessa Jenkins again. But she couldn't stay away. A year later she returned to Korea with fake papers, a different look and a plan. She dyed her hair, wore colored contacts and applied for low-level jobs at hotels. Hotels where rich businessmen stayed. Hotels where secrets were traded over expensive whiskey. She learned that the Grand Pearl Hotel, owned by the Kong family, had been a frequent meeting place for her father and his business associates. So she got a job there. Started as a housekeeper. Wash, listen, learn. For 10 years, she cleaned rooms and observed the powerful men who moved through the hotel's halls. She learned their routines, their associates, their business dealings. She searched for connections to her father's death. And she waited. Now, sitting in this conference room, Vanessa wondered if her waiting was over. Kang Dae-sung had found her. Or she'd found him. Either way, the careful life she'd built was crumbling. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Tomorrow. 2 p.m. My office. We need to talk. Kang Jun-ho. She stared at the message. Tomorrow she'd have to decide. Keep running or face the truth. For the first time in 10 years, Vanessa thought maybe, just maybe, she was tired of running. Jun-ho couldn't sleep. He sat in his penthouse apartment, the Busan skyline glittering through floor-to-ceiling windows, and thought about the woman in the green uniform. Park Min-ji. The name echoed in his mind. He'd heard it before years ago. His father had mentioned her, the lost daughter of his dear friend Park Dong-min. The child who vanished the night her father died. Jun-ho had been 25 then, busy building his career, preparing to take over the family business. He'd paid little attention to the tragedy beyond offering condolences. But his father had grieved deeply. Had spent millions searching for Min-ji. Had blamed himself for not protecting Park better. And now she was here. Working in their hotel. For 10 years. What? Jun-ho opened his laptop and pulled up Vanessa Jenkins' employment file. Hired 9 years ago as a housekeeper. Promoted to housekeeping supervisor after 3 years. Excellent performance reviews. Never missed a day. Never caused problems. Perfect employee. Too perfect. He dug deeper, using resources most people didn't have access to. Background checks. Immigration records. Financial history. Vanessa Jenkins existed on paper. Born in Detroit. Foster care records. Passport. Social security number. But the trail was clean. Too clean. Like someone had carefully constructed a believable life. His phone rang. His father. You can't sleep either, Dae-sung said. No. She's really heard Jun-ho. I'd know those eyes anywhere. She has her father's eyes. Why did she hide? Why work as a maid in our hotel? Silence. Then, maybe she's searching for the same answers I've been searching for. What answers? Why Park died? The police said robbery. I never believed it. Park was too careful. Too smart. Something else happened that night. Jun-ho remembered the funeral. His father's tears. The closed casket. The whispers that Park had been involved in something dangerous. What was he working on before he died? Jun-ho asked. A development deal. We were partners. Busan waterfront property. Would have transformed the whole area. Worth billions eventually. What happened to the deal? It died with him. The land went to auction. Someone else bought it. Built a massive complex. Who? A company called Haedong Development. Run by Choi Sung-min. The name meant nothing to Jun-ho. Should I know him? He used to work for us. Operations director at the hotel. Retired about 8 years ago. Jun-ho sat up straighter. A former employee. Access to information. Access to the hotel. Access to Park's meetings and conversations. Did you ever suspect him? Of what? Of being involved in Park's death. His father's sharp intake of breath was answer enough. I had suspicions, Dae-sung admitted. But no proof. And by the time I thought to look closer, he'd retired and moved away. Started his company. Became successful. On the exact land you and Park wanted to develop. Yes. Jun-ho's mind raced. If Choi was involved, if he'd somehow stolen the deal, killed Park to get it, then Min-ji, Vanessa, whoever she was, might be in danger. If she was investigating, asking questions, getting too close to the truth. I need to talk to her, Jun-ho said. Be gentle. She's been through so much. I will. The next morning, Jun-ho arrived at the hotel early. He found Vanessa in the staff locker room, changing into her uniform. She wore a red blouse under her green vest today. The color suited her. Miss Jenkins, he said. She turned, startled. Then her expression smoothed into professional calm. Mr. Kong. Good morning. Please come to my office. We need to talk. She hesitated. He could see the calculation in her eyes, the debate. Run or stay. It's important, he added. And I promise you're safe. That seemed to decide her. She nodded and followed him through the hotel's marble corridors to the executive elevator. They rode up in silence, the space between them heavy with unspoken questions. His office was simple despite his wealth. A large desk, comfortable chairs, windows overlooking Houndy Beach. He gestured for her to sit. Coffee? Tea? No, thank you. He sat across from her, not behind his desk. Equal ground. My father told me about you. About Park Min-ji. About what happened 10 years ago. Her hands clenched in her lap. I don't know what you mean. Please don't lie. Not anymore. I want to help. Why would you help me? Because your father was my father's best friend. Because you've been alone for 10 years. Because whatever you're looking for, whatever you're trying to find, you don't have to do it by yourself anymore. Her eyes glistened. She blinked hard, fighting tears. I don't know if I can trust you. I understand. But I'm asking you to try. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, what do you know about Choi Sung-min? Junho's pulse quickened. He used to work here. Operations director. He retired and started a development company. He built on the land my father wanted to develop. Yes. That's not a coincidence. No, I don't think it is. Vanessa leaned forward. I've been watching him for 3 years. He comes to this hotel sometimes for business meetings. I've listened to his conversations, read papers he leaves behind, tracked his associates. He's connected to something bigger. Something dangerous. What are you planning to do? Find proof. Find out if he killed my father. And then. She paused. I don't know. I used to think I wanted revenge. Now I just want truth. Junho made a decision. I have resources. Money. Lawyers. Investigators. Let me help you find that truth. Why would you do that? Because it's the right thing to do. Because your father deserves justice. Because you deserve to stop hiding. He saw her throat work as she swallowed hard. Saw the walls she'd built around herself crack just a little. If I accept your help, she said slowly, things will change. My life here, my cover, everything. Maybe change is good. She studied his face for a long time. Then to his surprise she smiled. It was small, tentative, but real. Okay, she said. I accept. And thank you. Thank you for offering. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. You could have turned me over to the police for working under false papers. You could have fired me. Instead, you're helping. That means something. Junho felt something warm unfold in his chest. Looking at her, sitting straight and proud despite everything she'd endured, he realized this was more than just helping his father's friend's daughter. This was the beginning of something he hadn't expected. There's something else, he said. I'd like to offer you a different position. My personal assistant. Your language skills, your intelligence, they're wasted on housekeeping. And it would give you better access to information, better ability to investigate. He saw the hesitation in her eyes. The fear of being too visible. Think about it, he added quickly. You don't have to decide now. But Vanessa shook her head. No. I accept. You're right. This is a good opportunity. Thank you for thinking of me. Her gratitude was genuine, and it made Junho want to do more, give more, help more. When can you start? Tomorrow? Perfect. As she left his office, Junho watched her go and wondered what he'd just set in motion. His life had been predictable, controlled, carefully managed. But Vanessa Jenkins, Park Min-ji, this woman with 2 names and a decade of secrets, had just walked into it like a storm. And somehow he didn't mind at all. Working as Junho's assistant was nothing like cleaning hotel rooms. Vanessa sat at a desk outside his office, fielding calls, managing schedules, translating documents. She wore business clothes now, a blue blazer and matching skirt her first day, and felt exposed without her uniform to hide behind. But it was also liberating. For 10 years, she'd made herself invisible. Now people saw her, acknowledged her, respected her. Junho treated her like a colleague, not a subordinate. He asked her opinion on business matters, included her in meetings, and shared meals with her while they worked late. He was kind in ways she hadn't expected. Thoughtful. Funny even. You don't have to work so hard, he said one evening as she stayed late translating a contract. The document can wait until tomorrow. I don't mind. I want to do a good job. You're doing an excellent job. Better than my last 3 assistants combined. She glanced up from her computer. What happened to them? They quit. Said I was too demanding. He smiled. Was I? Probably. But I don't mind demanding. I like having work that matters. He studied her face. You've spent 10 years doing work that didn't match your abilities. That must have been frustrating. It was necessary. Was it? Or were you punishing yourself? The question cut deep. Vanessa set down her pen. What do you mean? You survived when your father didn't. Maybe part of you felt guilty about that. So you made yourself small. Made yourself suffer. Tears pricked her eyes. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? He came around the desk, sat in the chair beside hers. My mother died when I was 16. Cancer. I watched her waste away for 2 years. After she died, I threw myself into school, into work. I barely slept. Barely ate. My father finally sat me down and said, your mother would be heartbroken to see you destroying yourself in her name. Vanessa wiped her eyes. What did you do? I learned to live again. To honor her by being happy, not by being miserable. That's different. Your mother died of illness. My father was murdered. And you think he'd want you to spend your life hiding? Working jobs beneath you? Never letting anyone know the brilliant, capable woman you are? She had no answer for that. Junho reached over and gently touched her hand. Minji. Vanessa. Whoever you are. You deserve more than survival. You deserve a life. Something shifted between them in that moment. Something warm and dangerous and terrifying. Vanessa pulled her hand away gently. We should focus on the investigation. If he was hurt by her withdrawal, he didn't show it. Of course. I've hired a private investigator. He's looking into Choi's business dealings from 10 years ago. Good. I've been watching the hotel's old security footage archives. The night my father died, he had a meeting here. In one of the conference rooms. With who? Your father. And 3 other men. I couldn't identify them all, but one of them was Choi. Junho leaned forward. So Choi was definitely involved in the development deal. Yes. And 2 days after my father died, Choi resigned from the hotel. Told your father he wanted to start his own business. Convenient timing. Very. Over the next weeks they fell into a rhythm. Days spent working on hotel business, evenings spent investigating. Junho's private investigator uncovered financial records showing Choi had received a large cash payment shortly before Park's death. The source was hidden behind shell companies. Vanessa cross-referenced dates and found that Choi had taken a sudden vacation the week of the murder. Told the hotel he needed time off for family matters. But he had no family. He'd returned a week later and worked normally until his resignation. They were building a case. Slowly. Carefully. But they were also building something else. A friendship that felt like it might become more. Junho brought her favorite coffee every morning. She learned he liked his documents. Organized by color, not date. He taught her about the hotel business. She taught him phrases in Busan dialect that made him laugh. One night, working late in his office, Vanessa found herself telling him about her childhood. About foster care and feeling unwanted. About the Hendersons in Korea and finally finding a home with Mr. Park. He made me feel like I belonged, she said softly. Like I mattered. No one had ever done that before. You do matter, Junho said. More than you know. The way he looked at her made her heart race. Made her wonder what might happen if she let herself feel what was growing between them. But before she could respond, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Stop digging or you'll end up like Park. Her blood went cold. She showed Junho the screen. His jaw tightened. Someone knows we're investigating. Choi. Maybe. Or someone working for him. I'm not stopping. I didn't think you would. But we need to be more careful. That night, Junho insisted on driving her home. As they pulled up to her small apartment building, he turned to her. Stay at my place tonight. Or let me hire security for you. Please. I'll be fine. Minji. Vanessa. Here I'm still Vanessa. Vanessa then. I can't lose you. Not when we're so close to answers. The concern in his voice warmed her. You won't lose me. I've been taking care of myself for a long time. That doesn't mean you have to keep doing it alone. She smiled despite her fear. I'm not alone anymore, am I? No. You're not. She went inside, locked her door and sat in the dark, thinking about the message. Someone was watching. Someone was scared. Good. Let them be scared. She was done hiding. But as she lay in bed that night, Vanessa couldn't stop thinking about Junho's eyes when he'd said he couldn't lose her. Couldn't stop remembering the warmth of his hand on hers. She was falling for him. Despite everything. Despite knowing it complicated her mission. Or maybe because of it. Maybe her father had been right. Maybe life was more than just surviving. Maybe it was also about love and trust and letting people in. She fell asleep thinking about possibilities. About futures she'd never let herself imagine before. About hope. The hotel's annual gala was the social event of the season. 400 guests, most of Busan's elite, gathered in the Grand Pearl's ballroom to celebrate the Kong family's 40th anniversary in the hospitality business. Vanessa stood near the edge of the room in a stunning maroon dress, her role tonight both professional and personal. She was Junho's assistant, but also his date, though neither of them had explicitly called it that. "You look beautiful," Junho had said when he picked her up, his eyes warm with appreciation. "You look very handsome yourself," she'd replied, taking in his perfectly tailored navy suit. Now, watching him work the room with his father, Vanessa felt a surge of pride. He was good at this. Gracious. Charming. But also genuine. He remembered names, asked about families, listened when people spoke. Dae-sung caught her eye and smiled. The old man had welcomed her back into his life with open arms, treating her like the granddaughter he'd lost. He told her stories about her father, shared photos, and cried with her over their shared grief. "You've made my father happy," Junho said, appearing at her side with 2 glasses of champagne. "I haven't seen him smile this much in years. He's made me happy too. It's nice to have family again." "Is that all we are? Family?" She looked up at him, saw the question in his eyes. "What do you want us to be?" "More," he said simply. "If you're ready." Her heart stuttered. She was about to answer when she saw them. 4 men in server uniforms moving through the crowd. But their movements were wrong. Too purposeful. Too coordinated. And their eyes kept tracking to one spot. The table where Dae-sung sat, talking with business partners. Vanessa's training kicked in. She scanned their hands, their postures, their paths. Then she saw the bulge under one man's jacket. Not a weapon but something. A syringe maybe. Or a drug to slip into a drink. "Junho," she said urgently. "Your father. Those men." He followed her gaze, saw what she saw. Security. But security was on the other side of the room. And the men were moving fast now, splitting up, surrounding Dae-sung's table. Vanessa didn't think. She moved. She crossed the ballroom floor in seconds, her heels clicking rapidly against marble. The first man reached Dae-sung just as she arrived. She grabbed his wrist as he extended his hand toward the old man's champagne glass. "I don't think so," she said. The man jerked back, surprised. The small vial in his palm clattered to the floor. Vanessa kicked it away, then swept the man's legs out from under him. He went down hard. The ballroom erupted in screams. The other 3 men rushed forward. Vanessa stepped between them and Dae-sung, her body a shield. The first attacker swung at her. She ducked, countered with a strike to his solar plexus. He stumbled back, gasping. The second man grabbed her from behind. She drove her elbow into his ribs, twisted free, and used his momentum to throw him into the third man. They went down in a tangle. But the fourth man had circled around. He lunged for Dae-sung directly. Vanessa spun, caught his arm, and used a joint lock her father had taught her. The man cried out in pain and dropped to his knees. Hotel security finally arrived, tackling the men, pinning them down. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Vanessa stood in the center of the chaos, breathing hard, her maroon dress torn at the hem, her hair coming loose from its pins. The entire ballroom stared at her. Junho reached her first, his face pale. "Are you hurt?" "I'm fine." "Your father?" "He's okay. Thanks to you." Dae-sung was indeed fine, though shaken. He looked at Vanessa with something like awe. "You saved my life." "I did what anyone would do." "No," the old man said firmly. "You did what your father trained you to do. He taught you well." Police arrived and took the 4 men away. Hotel security retrieved the vial. Testing would later reveal it was a fast-acting poison, something that would have looked like a heart attack. Someone had tried to kill Kang Dae-sung. And Vanessa had stopped them. As the guests slowly dispersed, still buzzing with shock and excitement, Junho pulled Vanessa aside. "We need to talk. Privately." They went to his office, the party noise fading behind them. Once inside, he turned to her, his expression intense. "Who are you really? A maid who speaks Korean? An assistant who can fight like a trained soldier? Which is the real you?" Vanessa sank into a chair, suddenly exhausted. "All of it. None of it. I don't even know anymore. Those moves. That training. That wasn't just self-defense classes. My father. He was more than a businessman. I don't know what exactly. But he knew things. Dangerous things. And he made sure I could protect myself. Do you think this is connected?" The attack tonight and your father's death. I don't know. Maybe. If someone wanted your father dead, if it's related to the same business deal. Junho began to pace. Choi. It has to be Choi. He's the connection. He was there 10 years ago. He benefited from my father and Park not completing their deal. And now maybe he's scared we're getting too close to the truth, Vanessa finished. So he's trying to eliminate loose ends. Your father was a loose end. Now mine is too. The implications hung heavy in the air. This wasn't just about old murders and stolen business deals anymore. This was active, current, dangerous. We have to go to the police, Junho said. With what proof? We have suspicions, theories, nothing concrete. We have those men downstairs, who probably don't know who hired them. These things are always layered, insulated. So what do we do? Vanessa stood, moved to the window, looked out at the glittering Busan skyline. We do what we've been doing. We investigate. We find proof. But now we know we're on the right track. Because someone is scared enough to try to kill your father. I won't let you put yourself in danger. She turned to face him. You can't stop me. Minji. This is my choice. My father's death. My quest for truth. You can help me or not, but I'm not stopping. He crossed to her in 3 long strides, took her hands in his. Then I'm helping. All the way. Whatever it takes. Even if it's dangerous? Especially then. She looked up at him, saw the determination in his face. Saw something else too. Something that made her breath catch. Junho. I'm falling in love with you, he said quietly. I know it's complicated. I know this isn't the right time. But almost losing my father tonight, seeing you fight for him, I realized I can't keep pretending what I feel isn't real. Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. This is crazy. We barely know each other. I know enough. I know you're brave and loyal and brilliant. I know you've survived things that would have broken most people. I know when I'm with you, I feel more alive than I've felt in years. I'm falling for you too, she whispered. And it terrifies me. Why? Because caring about people means you can lose them. And I've lost everyone I've ever loved. You won't lose me. You can't promise that. Then I'll promise this. For however long we have, I'll be here. I'll stand with you. I'll fight with you. And I'll do everything in my power to keep you safe. He leaned down and she rose up to meet him, and when their lips touched, it felt like coming home. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative. Then deeper, more urgent, full of all the emotions they'd been holding back. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Vanessa rested her forehead against his. Okay, she said. Okay, let's do this together. The investigation? Everything. The investigation. The danger. Whatever comes next. Together. He smiled, that beautiful warm smile that reached his eyes. Together. Outside, the Busan night sparkled with lights and life. Inside Junho's office, Vanessa felt something she hadn't felt in 10 years. She felt like she'd found her way home. The next morning, Junho called an emergency meeting in his father's private study. Dae-sung sat in his favorite chair, looking older and more tired than usual. The attempted poisoning had shaken him deeply. Tell me everything, the old man said. No more secrets. No more protection. I want to know what you two have been investigating. Vanessa and Junho exchanged glances. Then together they laid it all out. The development deal from 10 years ago. Choi's suspicious resignation and sudden wealth. The financial records showing unexplained payments. The timeline that connected everything. Dae-sung listened in silence, his face growing graver with each revelation. When they finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood and walked to his wall safe. He spun the combination, opened it, and pulled out a thick folder. I've been keeping these for 10 years, he said, placing the folder on his desk. I couldn't prove anything. But I knew. In my heart, I knew Park's death wasn't random. The folder contained documents. Contracts. Emails. Meeting notes. The waterfront development was worth billions, Dae-sung explained. Park and I had acquired the land through a complex series of purchases. We kept it quiet because we knew if word got out, prices would skyrocket. We planned to announce the project at the end of that month. Who else knew about it? Junho asked. Just a few people. My operations director at the time. A lawyer. And Park's financial advisor. What happened to the lawyer and the financial advisor? The lawyer moved to Singapore. Still there as far as I know. The financial advisor died 3 years ago. Cancer. Vanessa felt a chill. Convenient. I thought so too. But the doctor said it was legitimate. Stage 4. Nothing suspicious. She leafed through the documents. Saw her father's handwriting on some of them. Saw his signature. Saw plans and projections and dreams written in blue ink. Tears blurred her vision. Junho's hand found hers under the table, squeezed gently. "There's more," Dae-sung said quietly. "The day before Park died he called me. Said he'd discovered something. Something wrong with the deal. He was meeting with someone that night to discuss it." "Who?" Vanessa asked urgently. "He wouldn't tell me. Said he needed to be sure first. Said he'd explain everything the next day." The old man's voice broke. "But he never got the chance." "He discovered something wrong with the deal," Junho said slowly. "What if he found out someone was stealing it? What if he confronted them? And they killed him to keep him quiet," Vanessa finished. The pieces were falling into place. But they still needed proof. Solid, undeniable proof. "The police never really investigated," Dae-sung said bitterly. "They saw a break-in, saw a dead man, called it robbery. I tried to push them to look deeper, but—" He shrugged helplessly. "I had no evidence. Just suspicions. We need to find that evidence now," Junho said. "Before whoever is behind this tries again. I'm hiring round-the-clock security for you," he told his father. Dae-sung started to protest, but Junho cut him off. "Please, father. Let me do this. Let me protect you the way Park tried to protect what was his." The old man's eyes filled with tears. He nodded. Over the next days they worked tirelessly. Junho's private investigator dug deeper into Choi's financial history. Vanessa combed through old hotel records, security footage, anything that might provide a clue. She found something interesting. 3 days before her father's death, Choi had used his security clearance to access the hotel's executive floor after hours. The log showed he'd been in the business center for 2 hours. What was he doing? Junho asked. The business center has computers, printers, document scanners. He could have been copying files. Park's files. They requested the server logs from that time period. Most had been overwritten or deleted, but they found fragments. Fragments showing someone had accessed Park's cloud storage account. How did he get the password? Vanessa wondered. He worked in operations. He had access to a lot of systems. Maybe he had IT create a backdoor. They tracked down the IT manager from that time. The man was retired now, living in Seoul. Junho called him. Yes, he remembered. Choi had asked him to reset Mr. Park's password once. Said it was an emergency. The IT manager, trusting his superior, had done it. One more piece of the puzzle. But they still needed the big piece. The proof that Choi had actually killed Park or ordered his death. That's when Vanessa had an idea. What if we make Choi think we have proof? She said. What if we set a trap? Junho looked worried. That's dangerous. Everything about this is dangerous. But if we can get him to incriminate himself, to confess or make a move that exposes him. How would we do that? She thought for a moment. We leak information. We let him know that Park's daughter is alive. That she has her father's files. That she's ready to go to the police. He'll come after you. Exactly. And when he does, we'll be ready. We'll record everything. Get him on tape confessing or trying to silence me. Junho shook his head. I don't like it. You're making yourself bait. It's the only way. There has to be another way. Dae-sung, who'd been listening quietly, spoke up. The girl is right. Sometimes the only way to catch a rat is to offer cheese. Father. I lost Park because I wasn't brave enough to face the danger head-on. I won't lose his daughter the same way. He turned to Vanessa. But you won't do this alone. We'll have security, police, everything we need to keep you safe. Vanessa felt gratitude wash over her. Thank you. Thank you for believing in me. For helping me. Your family, Dae-sung said simply. This is what family does. The plan came together quickly. They would leak information through carefully chosen channels. Business contacts who couldn't keep secrets. Hotel employees known to gossip. Within days, word would reach Choi that Park Min-ji was alive and had evidence. Then they would wait. The night before they set the plan in motion, Junho and Vanessa sat together in his apartment, looking out at the city lights. Are you scared? He asked. Yes, but also ready. I've been waiting for this for 10 years. What happens after? When this is over? She turned to face him. What do you want to happen? I want you to stay. Here in Busan. With me. With my father. I want you to stop hiding and start living. As who? Vanessa? Min-ji? As yourself. Whoever that is. She leaned against him, felt his arm come around her shoulders. I'd like that. A life. A real one. Then promise me you'll be careful. Promise me you'll come back to me. I promise. And Junho? Thank you. For everything. For seeing me when I was invisible. For helping when you didn't have to. For loving me even though I'm complicated and broken and... He turned her face to his, kissed her gently. You're not broken. You're strong. And I love you exactly as you are. She kissed him back, pouring all her hope and fear and love into it. Tomorrow the trap would be set. Tomorrow the endgame would begin. But tonight, she let herself believe in futures and possibilities and happy endings. Tonight, she let herself hope. The leaked information spread like wildfire through Busan's business community. Park Dongmin's adopted daughter was alive. She had files. Evidence. She was ready to talk. Within 2 days they got their first response. A message sent to the hotel's main email, addressed to Park Min-ji. We should meet. Discuss your father. I have information you want. Come alone. Haeundae Beach, midnight tomorrow. It was unsigned. But the IP address traced back to a computer at Haedong Development. Choi's company. It's a trap, Junho said flatly. Of course it's a trap. That's the point. I don't want you going alone. I won't be alone. You'll have people watching. Cameras. Police nearby. They spent the day preparing. Plainclothes officers positioned around the beach. Cameras in Vanessa's bag and coat. A wire that would record everything. Dae-sung wanted to be there too, but Junho refused. You need to stay safe. If this goes wrong. It won't go wrong, Vanessa said with more confidence than she felt. The next night, she walked onto Haeundae Beach alone. The ocean whispered against the sand. The moon hung low and full. She wore a blue jacket against the cool air and carried a bag with fake documents inside. She waited. At 12:03 a figure approached. Not Choi. A younger man in dark clothes. Park Min-ji? He asked in Korean. Yes. Come with me. Someone wants to talk to you. I was told to meet here. Plans changed. Cars waiting. This wasn't part of the plan. If she got in a car, the police might lose her. The cameras might not catch what happened next. But if she refused, she'd never get answers. She made a choice. Okay. Lead the way. The man led her to a black sedan. She climbed in the back seat. Another man sat beside her. The doors locked. They drove in silence through Busan streets. Vanessa watched their route, memorizing turns and landmarks. They headed toward the industrial district, an area of warehouses and old factories. The car stopped outside a renovated building. Inside it was surprisingly nice. Clean. Modern. An office space. They led her to a conference room on the second floor. And there, sitting at the head of a long table, was Choi Sung-min. He was in his 70s now, his hair white, his face lined. But his eyes were sharp and cold. Park Min-ji, he said almost fondly. You've grown into a beautiful woman. Your father would be proud. Vanessa fought to keep her voice steady. You knew my father? Very well. We worked together. Good man. Shame what happened to him. Shame. Is that what you call murder? Choi's expression didn't change. Murder? The police said it was a robbery. The police were wrong. Were they? He gestured to a chair. Please sit. Let's talk like civilized people. Vanessa sat, though every instinct screamed at her to run. She could feel the wire against her skin, recording. Could imagine Junho listening somewhere, terrified. You said you had information about my father, she said. I do. And you said you had evidence. Files. Documents that implicate someone in his death. Maybe I do. Show me. First, you tell me what you know. Choi smiled. It was not a kind smile. Your father discovered something he shouldn't have. A detail in the development deal. A clause that would have given someone else controlling interest after the project launched. Who? Me. Vanessa's heart pounded. He was admitting it. On tape. You stole his deal. I improved it. Your father and Dae-sung were thinking too small. I saw the bigger picture. So you killed him? I didn't say that. But you're not denying it. Choi stood, walked to the window. Your father was going to expose me. Going to tell Dae-sung. Going to ruin everything. I couldn't allow that. So you sent men to kill him. I sent men to convince him. To make him see reason. Things got out of hand. Vanessa stood too, rage flooding through her. Things got out of hand? You murdered a good man. A kind man. My father. He wasn't your father. He was a childless old man who felt sorry for you. He loved me. Did he? Or did he just need someone to care for him in his old age? The words were designed to hurt. They did. But they also strengthened her resolve. Where are the files? Choi asked, turning back to her. Somewhere safe. I don't believe you have anything. Then why am I here? Because I wanted to see if you were as stupid as your father. Coming here alone. Trusting a message from a stranger. He smiled again. You are. Vanessa's hand moved to her bag where her phone was, where a panic button would alert Junho and the police. But Choi was faster. He pulled out a small device, pressed a button. Every light in the building went out. Emergency power kicked in with dim red lighting. Signal jammer, Choi said pleasantly. Your wire is useless. Your phone too. No one can hear you now. Fear lanced through her. But Vanessa had lived through worse. She'd survived 10 years alone. She wouldn't break now. The police know I'm here, she said. The police are watching an empty beach. My associate made sure you lost your tail. He moved closer. Too close. Vanessa shifted her weight, ready to fight. You have two choices, Choi said. Give me whatever evidence you think you have. Disappear again. Or end up like your father. There's a third choice. Oh. I fight. I survive. And I make sure you pay for what you did. Choi laughed. You're brave. I'll give you that. But bravery doesn't stop a fall from a high window. He gestured to his men. 3 of them moved toward her. Vanessa didn't wait. She grabbed the nearest chair, swung it hard. Caught one man in the shoulder. He stumbled back. She ran for the door. Locked. She spun, pressed her back against it, faced the men. They came at her together. She fought. Used every technique her father had taught her. Strikes. Blocks. Joint locks. But there were 3 of them. And they were bigger. Stronger. One grabbed her arm. She twisted free. Another caught her hair. She drove her heel into his instep. He let go. But the third man got behind her, arms around her chest, lifting her off the ground. She struggled. But his grip was iron. Choi walked over, stood in front of her. Still fighting. Admirable but pointless. Vanessa spat in his face. He wiped it away calmly. Then he nodded to the man holding her. They dragged her toward the window. And Vanessa realized she might have made a terrible, fatal mistake. The window loomed closer. Vanessa kicked hard, connected with someone's knee. A grunt of pain. But the grip didn't loosen. Then suddenly the door exploded inward. Junho burst through, followed by 6 police officers. Behind them, more security. The room flooded with people. Let her go, Junho shouted. The men holding Vanessa hesitated. Choi's face went pale. Let her go now, an officer commanded, hand on his weapon holster. They released her. Vanessa stumbled forward. Junho caught her, held her tight. I've got you, he whispered. I've got you. How did you find me? She asked. GPS tracker in your shoe. You disappeared from the beach, we knew something was wrong. We followed the signal here. Police moved in, handcuffing Choi and his men. Reading rights. Taking statements. Choi stared at Vanessa with pure hatred. You think this is over? You think you've won? I think you're going to prison, she said steadily. For my father's murder. For attempted murder tonight. For everything. You have no proof. Actually, Junho said, pulling out his phone, we have plenty. He'd been recording from the moment he arrived. Had captured Choi's confession on video. The admission about the deal. The confirmation that he'd sent men after Park. It wasn't perfect evidence. Any good lawyer could argue it was coerced or taken out of context. But combined with the financial records, the timeline, the witnesses they'd gathered over weeks of investigation, it was enough. More than enough. As police led Choi away, Vanessa felt something release inside her chest. 10 years of tension. 10 years of fear and anger and grief. It wasn't completely over yet. There would be trials. Testimony. Legal battles. But the man who'd killed her father was finally facing justice. Junho drove her back to his apartment. She was shaking, adrenaline crash hitting hard. He wrapped her in a blanket, made her tea, sat beside her on the couch. You scared me, he said quietly. When the signal moved and we realized you'd gotten in a car, I almost lost my mind. I'm sorry. I thought I could handle it. You almost died. But I didn't. You saved me. We saved each other. She leaned against him, felt his warmth, his solidity. What happens now? Now we let the legal system do its work. We gather evidence. We build the strongest case possible. And then you decide who you want to be. Park Minji? Vanessa Jenkins? Someone new entirely? She thought about it. Thought about the girl who'd hidden for 10 years and the woman who'd finally stopped running. Both, she said finally. I'm both. Minji is who I was. Vanessa is who I became. I don't have to choose. No, you don't. Over the next weeks, they worked with prosecutors. Provided evidence. Connected dots. The case against Choi grew stronger every day. Investigators found more. A witness who'd seen Choi meeting with known criminals the week before Park's death. Financial records showing payments to 3 men who matched descriptions of the home invaders. Security footage from a convenience store near Park's apartment building showing those same men on the night of the murder. Piece by piece the truth emerged. Choi had indeed manipulated the development deal. Had inserted clauses that would give him majority control after the project launched. Park discovered it during a routine contract review. Confronted Choi. Told him he was going to expose everything. So Choi hired men to convince Park to stay quiet. But Park fought back. And the situation escalated. They killed him. Made it look like a robbery. Choi took the development plans and, over the next year, quietly bought the land through shell companies. Then he resigned from the hotel, started his own company, and built his fortune on stolen dreams. The trial was set for 3 months out. The prosecutor was confident in his case. During this time, Vanessa started therapy. Dealing with trauma. Processing grief. Learning to live in the light instead of shadows. Junho was with her every step. Patient. Supportive. Loving. Dae-sung treated her like family. Invited her to dinners. Shared stories about her father. Helped her remember the good times, not just the terrible end. One evening, sitting in Dae-sung's study, the old man showed her something. A box of her father's belongings. Things he'd kept after the murder. Things the police had released after the investigation closed. I always hoped I'd be able to give these to you someday, Dae-sung said. Inside were photos. Documents. A watch. And a letter. The letter was addressed to Park Min-ji. Written in her father's handwriting. Dated the day before he died. With trembling hands, Vanessa opened it. My dear Min-ji, it began. If you're reading this, something has happened to me. I've discovered something that might put me in danger, and I want you to know the truth. I've been investigating irregularities in a business deal. I believe someone is trying to steal it. Tomorrow I'm confronting them. If things go wrong, know this, you are the best thing that ever happened to me. You brought joy to my life when I thought I'd spend my last years alone. You are my daughter in every way that matters. Be brave. Be strong. And live a full, beautiful life. Don't let my mistakes or my choices limit yours. I love you. Always. Your father, Park Dong-min. Vanessa wept. Junho held her while she cried. Dae-sung sat quietly, tears running down his own face. He knew, Vanessa said through her sobs. He knew it was dangerous. But he did the right thing anyway. That's who he was, Dae-sung said. Brave. Honorable. Good. I want to be like him. You already are. That night, Vanessa made a decision. She would testify at the trial. Would tell the world who she was. Would honor her father's memory by being brave and strong and good. No more hiding. No more fear. Just truth. And justice. And love. You've been on this journey with Vanessa from the beginning. You've seen her hide, fight, and finally find the courage to face her past. But the trial is coming. The final confrontation with the man who destroyed her family. Will justice prevail? Don't miss what happens next. Subscribe and comment below with your thoughts. What would you do in Vanessa's place? The courthouse was packed. Media lined the steps outside, cameras flashing. Inside, every seat was filled. Vanessa sat in the witness waiting room, wearing a green dress her father had once bought her. She'd found it in the box of belongings, carefully preserved. It still fit. Junho sat beside her, holding her hand. Dae-sung waited outside, too anxious to sit still. You don't have to do this, Junho said for the 10th time. The prosecutor has enough without your testimony. I want to. I need to. The door opened. A court officer appeared. Mississippi Park? They're ready for you. She stood, smoothed her dress, took a deep breath. The courtroom was imposing. High ceilings. Dark wood. The judge sitting elevated, looking down. The jury box filled with 12 faces. And there at the defense table, Choi Sung-min. He looked smaller now. Older. Less powerful. Vanessa walked to the witness stand, was sworn in, sat down. The prosecutor, a woman named Lee So-young, approached with a kind smile. Please state your name for the record. Park Min-ji. Also known as Vanessa Jenkins. Thank you. Mississippi Park, can you tell us about your relationship with Park Dong-min? And Vanessa did. She told them everything. How he'd adopted her. How he'd given her a home and a family. How he'd taught her Korean and culture and kindness. How he'd been murdered when she was 18. The courtroom was silent. Even the press stopped typing. The night of your father's death, where were you? At home. In our apartment. Studying. What happened? I heard men break in. Heard my father shouting. I ran to help, but he told me to run away. So I did. Why didn't you go to the police? My father's last words were, don't trust anyone. I was scared. Alone. I didn't know who to trust. What did you do instead? I left Korea. Went back to America. But I couldn't stay away. I came back a year later. Got a job at the Grand Pearl Hotel. Why that hotel specifically? Because I knew my father did business there. I thought if I watched, if I listened, I might find answers about who killed him. And did you? Eventually. Yes. She told them about discovering Choi's connection. About the stolen development deal. About investigating for years until she had enough evidence to act. The prosecutor presented documents. Financial records. Testimony from the IT manager. Security footage. Communication logs. Piece by piece the case came together. Then it was the defense attorney's turn. He was aggressive. Tried to make Vanessa seem unstable. Suggested she was making up stories because she was bitter about her father's death. Isn't it true you lived under a false identity for 10 years? Yes. Isn't that illegal? Yes. So you're a criminal yourself? The prosecutor objected. The judge sustained it. But the defense attorney kept pushing. Tried to shake her. Tried to make her angry or upset. Vanessa stayed calm. Answered truthfully. Let her love for her father shine through every word. When she finished, there wasn't a dry eye in the courtroom. Other witnesses testified over the next days. The private investigator. The IT manager. Financial experts who explained the money trail. Police who'd reviewed the original investigation and found it lacking. Even Dae-sung testified. Spoke about his friendship with Park. His suspicions. His decade of searching for truth. Finally, the prosecution rested. The defense presented their case, but it was weak. Choi's lawyers tried to suggest Park had been involved in something illegal himself. That he'd brought his death on himself. But the evidence didn't support it. The jury didn't believe it. After 2 weeks of testimony, closing arguments began. The prosecutor spoke passionately about justice. About a good man killed for standing up for what was right. About a daughter who'd lost everything but never gave up searching for truth. The defense attorney spoke about reasonable doubt. About the lack of physical evidence tying Choi directly to the murder. About the possibility of other suspects. Then the jury deliberated. For 6 hours. When they returned, the verdict was unanimous. Guilty of first-degree murder. Guilty of conspiracy. Guilty of fraud. Guilty on all counts. Choi's face crumbled. His lawyers protested. But it was over. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without possibility of parole. Vanessa sat in the gallery, tears streaming down her face. Junho's arm around her shoulders. Dae-sung's hand in hers. It's done, the old man whispered. Your father can rest now. Outside the courthouse, media swarmed. But Vanessa was ready. She stood at the microphone, Junho and Dae-sung flanking her. Today justice was served, she said clearly. My father, Park Dong-min, was a good man who did the right thing even when it was dangerous. He paid for that with his life. But his killer has finally been held accountable. I want to thank the prosecutors, the police, everyone who helped bring truth to light. And I want to say to anyone who's lost someone they love, don't give up. Keep searching for answers. Keep fighting for justice. Truth may take time, but it's worth waiting for. The questions came fast. She answered some. Deflected others. Finally, Junho stepped in. That's all for today. Thank you. They left, pushing through the crowd to a waiting car. That evening, Vanessa visited her father's grave for the first time since the trial began. The cemetery was quiet, peaceful. She knelt beside the headstone, traced his name with her fingers. It's over, Dad, she said softly. He's going to prison. You can rest now. And I can too. She felt Junho's presence behind her, giving her space but staying close. I'm going to live the life you wanted for me, she continued. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to let people love me. I'm going to stop hiding. I promise. The wind rustled through the trees almost like an answer. When she stood, Junho took her hand. Ready? He asked. Yes. Let's go home. Home. The word felt right. Felt true. Because she had one now. A real one. with people who loved her, with Junho and Daesung, with a future full of possibilities, with hope. 6 months after the trial, Vanessa stood in a conference room at Kong Industries, looking out at Busan's transformed waterfront. Where abandoned warehouses once stood, a beautiful development now rose. Parks, housing, shops, a community center. The Park Kong Memorial Development. Built with the original plans her father and Daesung had created. Funded by both families. Dedicated to creating opportunities for people who needed them most. Profits from the development went to scholarships. Specifically, scholarships for orphans and foster children. Kids like Vanessa had been. "It's beautiful," she said. Junho came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. "Your father would be proud. Our fathers would both be proud." She turned in his arms, looked up at him. He smiled, that warm smile that still made her heart skip. "I have something for you," he said. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Opened it. Inside was a ring. Simple. Elegant. A single pearl surrounded by small diamonds. Park Minji. Vanessa Jenkins. The woman I love, whatever name you choose. Will you marry me? Tears filled her eyes. Happy tears this time. Yes. Yes, of course, yes. He slipped the ring on her finger. Kissed her gently. Outside, Busan sparkled in the sunlight. They planned the wedding for spring. A blend of Korean and American traditions. Held at a hotel overlooking Haeundae Beach. The ceremony was beautiful. Vanessa wore a white dress for the American portion, then changed into a traditional Korean hanbok in brilliant red and blue for the Korean ceremony. Daesung walked her down the aisle, tears in his eyes. "Your father would be so happy," he whispered. "He'd be happy you're here," she whispered back. "Thank you for being my family. Always, my dear. Always." The wedding was everything she'd never let herself dream about. Friends from the hotel. Business associates. New friends she'd made since coming out of hiding. Even the prosecutor who'd helped put Choi away. During the reception, Vanessa gave a speech in both English and Busan dialect. "I spent 10 years hiding," she said. 10 years being afraid. Afraid to trust. Afraid to love. Afraid to be seen. But I learned something through all of this. Family isn't just blood. It's the people who choose to love you. Who stand by you. Who fight for you. My father, Park Dongmin, chose to love me when I was a child nobody wanted. Daesung chose to welcome me back when I'd been lost for so long. And Junho chose to see me, really see me, when I was trying to be invisible. I'm grateful. So grateful. For all of you. For this new beginning. For the chance to live fully and love completely. Thank you." There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Later, dancing with Junho under soft white lights, Vanessa felt something she'd thought she'd lost forever. "What are you thinking about?" Junho asked. "How lucky I am. How far I've come. How different my life is from what I thought it would be. Better or worse? So much better. I have you. I have your father. I have work I care about. I have a purpose." "What purpose?" "Helping others. The scholarship program. I'm starting a foundation. 4 kids in foster care. To help them find families. Find homes. Find belonging." "That's beautiful. It's what my father would have wanted. To turn pain into something good. To help others the way he helped me. He'd be very proud of you." "I hope so." 3 years later, Vanessa stood in a university auditorium, handing scholarships to 20 students. All orphans or foster children. All getting full rides to college. One girl, a shy 16-year-old named Hannah, approached her afterward. "Thank you," Hannah said in English, her accent thick. "This means everything." "Where are you from?" Vanessa asked. "Cambodia. I came here 2 years ago. Foster family brought me. They're nice. But I miss home." "I understand. I felt that way too. But you'll find your place. I promise." "Did you?" "Find your place." Vanessa looked across the room to where Junho stood with their 2-year-old daughter, Minaseo. She had Vanessa's dark skin and Junho's eyes. She was laughing, clapping her hands. "Yes," Vanessa said with certainty. "I found my place. And you will too." That night, putting Minaseo to bed, Vanessa told her daughter a story. "Once upon a time," she began, "there was a little girl who felt lost. She didn't know where she belonged. But then a kind man gave her a home. And she learned that family isn't about where you come from. It's about who loves you." "Did the girl find her family?" Minaseo asked sleepily. "She did. She found family everywhere. In unexpected places. With unexpected people. And she lived happily ever after." "I like that story, Mama." Me too, baby. Me too. After Minicio fell asleep, Vanessa stood at the window looking out at the city lights. Junho joined her, slipped his arm around her waist. What are you thinking about? My father. How he'd love seeing Minicio. How he'd love knowing that his story didn't end in tragedy. That it led to this. To us. To a family. To happiness. Do you still miss him? Every day. But it doesn't hurt the way it used to. Now when I think of him, I remember the good things. The love. The laughter. The way he made me feel seen and valued. That's his real legacy. Not the business deals or the money. The love he gave you. The person you became because of it. Vanessa turned to face her husband. And the love I can give others now. The families we're helping create through the foundation. The children we're giving opportunities to. That's all because of him. He'd be proud. I hope so. I really hope so. She thought about the girl she'd been. Orphaned. Lost. Searching for belonging. Thought about the woman she'd become. Found. Love. Home. The journey from Vanessa Jenkins to Park Minji and back again had been long. Painful. Hard. But it had also been worth it. Because she'd learned what her father had tried to teach her all along. That love matters most. That kindness is strength. That family is what you make it. That hope is always worth holding on to. That even in the darkest times, light can find a way through. Standing in her beautiful home with her husband beside her and her daughter sleeping peacefully down the hall, with the memory of her father wrapped around her like a warm blanket, Vanessa finally understood what it meant to be whole. She was Park Minji. She was Vanessa Jenkins. She was a daughter, a wife, a mother, a friend. She was home. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything.